Hello, I'm Richard Hunter, Head of Markets, and welcome to our look ahead for the week commencing the 22nd of April. It's been a strange few weeks. We've had the situation where ongoing speculation around inflation and the likelihood or less likelihood of interest rate cuts has certainly weighed on markets. The baton's been passed to a certain extent to companies now. We're in the middle of the quarterly earnings season reports, particularly in the States, where the initial reactions have been quite positive, although obviously those that have disappointed have been subject to some selling pressure. Overarching all this, of course, we've got tensions in the Middle East which are continuing to escalate. So there's a lot going on and lots of plates spinning at the moment, which has paired some of the gains from the US main indices in particular. Indeed, in the year to date, the Dow Jones is now up by just 0.2%. The Nasdaq is up by 3.9%. Benchmark S&P 500 up by about 5%, so that's holding on to some gains. And quite unusually, the FTSE 100 in the year to date is now up 1.3%, overtaking the simple return of the Dow Jones. Looking ahead to next week, there are a whole raft of companies reporting. We'll just pick a couple out. Firstly, the banks are due to report their first quarter numbers. When we heard last time from them in February at the full year results, it was very much a mixed bag, but there's certain themes obviously which we'll be looking out for. Next week we're going to hear from Lloyds, Barclays and NatWest. Again, share price performances over the last year have been mixed. Lloyds are up about 2%, Barclays up about 17%, NatWest pretty much unchanged, although underpinning that, of course, for Lloyds, Barclays and NatWest are dividend yields of 5.4, 4.4 and 6.2%. In fact, shareholder returns will continue to be very much a focus in the first quarter, dividends and share buybacks. Also look out for impairments, certainly in terms of Lloyds. It took an impairment of £450 million at the full year stage for a current FCA investigation into motor finance commissions. Elsewhere, could be positive for Barclays. We've had some very good investment banking updates from the likes of Goldman's and Morgan Stanley, which could read across well for Barclays. So those are some of the things just to keep an eye out within that particular sector. And of course, in terms of NatWest, there may be some updates on the proposed retail offer, which we've been hearing a lot about recently. Full year numbers also from Sainsbury. Shares have dipped by 8% over the last year. This is despite the fact it's announced a share buyback scheme of around £200 million. It's yielding around 5% in terms of the dividend, both announced at its recent strategy day, which was somewhat underwhelming for investors. So obviously look out for the grocery side. It's back to its knitting in terms of discounts and margins. General merchandise has been under some pressure, clothing in particular, so that's a question mark, as indeed has been a mixed performance from Argos. Also, half-year numbers from Associated British Foods. Obviously, when we talk about this company, we're talking about Primark, which represents around half of its revenues. So let's see how the expansion in the States is going, how the newly trialled click and collect scheme is going, and also, of course, how product margins have been faring on the back of potential supply chain disruptions. Also, in parts of one of its other larger strands for its business, the grocery unit has been performing well of late. Let's see if that will keep going. AB shares up about 18% over the last years. There's also updates from the likes of Taylor Wimpey and Persimmon in the housing sector, AstraZeneca, Reckitt and Unilever. Thank you for watching. Have a great week.